Brian, did I just see you jamming?
Oh, yeah. Me and my little friend here are dancing.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to... I forgot to put my phone on silent. Hang on one moment. Running a little behind here today, and for that, I apologize. Welcome to The Perspective, where each and every week, you give us your stories, claims, and we talk about them. We welcome paranormal and supernatural claims, belief in aliens, conspiracy theories, political claims. We pretty much try and talk about anything and everything and apply a skeptic's lens to it. We've had a couple host changes. So originally it was going to be Kenneth and Laura. Kenneth is unable to make it. Brian stepped in for Laura. I'm sorry, for Kenneth. Laura's having camera issues, so we're waiting to figure that out. She may come on and take over in my place, but in the meantime, we'll just jump into calls and get the show started in just a moment. But Brian, how are you?
Oh, I am doing pretty good. I don't know if you saw or not, but this little lady might be pregnant, or as you say, when it comes to insects, she might be gravid. So she's probably going to lay some eggs. Her and her boyfriend matured out over here and have been bunked up together for the last week and periodically getting it on. Maybe that'd be for the pickup line instead, huh?
Ooh, there we go. We'll have everyone call into we'll talk about that in the pickup line. It looks like we have got Laura, the other host of the evening.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay,
Laura,
technical difficulties. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Do you have a call-in studio open?
I do. It is up. Let me hit refresh because it doesn't show any calls.
It doesn't?
Now it does.
Oh, okay.
There we go. I just had to refresh it. Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Awesome. So, I forgot to set up. Okay, so everyone, you are going to see two numbers flash on the screen. Those two numbers are my Google Voice number and the call-in studio number. Bear with me just one moment. I forgot to do this beforehand. Unfortunately, been running a little late and a bit deorganized.
You put the music back on because me and the Mantis are wanting to dance here.
There we go. And I missed the intro. How was it?
It was good.
Oh,
Nice.
thank you, and yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna jump out of here. So we're gonna want to get to. It looks like we got a few calls on hold. For those waiting on hold, the call screener will get to you in a moment, and they will take down some of your information. But in the meantime, let's get to our first caller. Looks like Harley follows people inside of their house, claims that there are emotions attached to it. I don't know. Perhaps Harley can explain it better. Harley, you are on with
Hey guys.
Laura and Brian.
Hey, Harley.
Hey, Harley.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. So I've called in a few times before, and the spiel is 2 girls died outside of my house, and after that, weird things started happening. And the last time I called in, you guys kind of wanted me to explain more about the energy I felt in the house and how it to give that energy a definition. And I just kind of wanted to go into detail about what that is like and how I've never experienced that except one other location in my entire life.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if BrainBug was on when you called last time, but I wasn't, unfortunately. So I may have some questions for you that require you to repeat stuff that you said the last time you called. But why don't you start with just sort of a brief overview of what it is you're experiencing, like whether it's audible or visual or what it is, and kind of give us an idea of what's going on.
Sure. So there is a cloud-like substance that roams around that house. I no longer live in that house, and I've only experienced it in this one house. And sometimes it's
what? Oh, did we lose her? I think Call-in Studio just dropped her, maybe.
What the heck?
I just saw Call-in Studio down. Yeah.
I got booted too.
Oh, no
Uh-oh.
way.
Oh, Harley, if you can hear us on the live channel, call us back once we get it back up.
Dude. What the hell?
Yeah,
We
technical
lost
difficulties
all
galore
our
tonight.
callers.
I'm
Oh my
so
God. One
right.
second.
Ooh.
Oh,
What a
Oh.
night.
Did our screener get booted too?
everybody got booted. One moment. I'm trying to
no.
restart
Yeah.
the show. Holy crap. Okay.
To all our callers, if you're watching us on any of our platforms, please don't be discouraged. Give us a call back. We'll get this all under control. We really are excited to talk to you guys tonight. So,
And to all our watchers and listeners, now you get to see kind of like what it's really like behind the scenes.
Yeah. This sucks.
always chaos, but normally it's not so visible.
If
Okay,
you just vamp for a second while I'm getting this
I
set
was
up.
just about to say, in the meantime, BrainBug, you and I were on together the last time I did Perspective, and it was a good time. So
Yeah.
how have you been since then?
Doing all right. Breeding mantises and such. That's and of course I've been doing some counter apologetic stuff. Actually, me and
nice.
Kenneth worked on something together that'll be coming out tomorrow on my channel. So
I heard a little bit about that. I can't wait to see it. That's gonna be
Yeah.
cool.
yeah,
That's
we're just having some fun and learning some science and some logic and
Fantastic. I love when the two blend. You have like the philosophy side of things, which is more conversation and thought process and coming up with arguments, and then you have the science side of thing, which is like the testing and the observing and all that. And I love when the two kind of collide.
Yeah,
That's so much fun.
One side's more empirical and the other side's more metaphysical almost when you talk about logic and stuff.
There you
Definitely. Go. And I've been kind of dabbling in that and learning as I go. I think me and Ethan both have been learning a little bit of things about philosophy and just a theory of mind and things like that, because we've really been engaging more in that side of the community, which is fairly new to me. But I understand that you kind of dabble in that area as well. Is that right?
Not much. Like I understand it and I comprehend it, but my interest is mostly in like the human experience and like people and civilizations and history and all that. And I'm a total geek for science, but I'm more of like a homeschool teacher geek for science. So my science level is at like, high school level and below, but it's fascinating. Like I love learning about all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times like my kids will just get interested in something and then I'll get interested in it and learn at their level, so.
Yeah, I got my youngest. We went fossil hunting last week, and we actually got some pretty cool fossils. I wish I had them here with me to show you now. That
oh, that'd be awesome.
We were just going down to we were actually out down at the creek hunting frogs, and he'd been down into the rock beds and picked up a fossil. He said, "Hey, Dad, is this a fossil?" And it was the shale there is Mississippian.
So is it a lot of diatomaceous earth too then, or?
There is diatomaceous earth that gets like settled down there.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of mineral washout and stuff. So it's mostly shale.
Okay.
Which in shale is really good for preserving fossils. So
very cool.
All right, Harley, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Let the show continue.
Am I okay now?
You are okay?
So sorry.
Can Laura?
Not your fault. I can hear her just fine.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Get out of here, and I'll let you continue.
Okay, great.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So Harley's so sorry. Thank you for calling back in.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
You were talking. You were at the. There was a misty figure you were talking about moving around this old house you used to live in, and we're getting ready to dive into that. So just pick up right there, and we'll go.
Okay, so it's not a figure. It can be anywhere from like 2 feet to encompassing a whole room. The dimensions changed all the time. And it had, when you could step in it and you could experience it, and you would step a foot to the left and you wouldn't feel anything that you experience in this kind of cloud. And like I said, most of the time it was invisible. Sometimes it would have like a gray or a white mist to it, almost like fog. But I live in Las Vegas. There's no fog here. So
can I stop you
I
really
knew
quick?
it wasn't fog.
So
Yeah.
this is a mist or a fog that sometimes you can see and sometimes you can't see, but it's something that you physically can experience. Like when you step in it, you can feel it. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, let me explain what you feel or what I felt
Yeah,
or what the
absolutely.
other people in my house felt too. So it would have a static charge to it, almost like if you were running a balloon up and down your arm or like on the hair on your head, and you feel that electric energy kind of pull your hair out. That
Was this
happens
area
like all your hair stands up.
was this area carpeted?
Some of it was outside in the backyard with rocks. Some of it was on tile. Some of it was in carpet in bedrooms. Yes.
I'm interested to know kind of like what area the house was in, like if there's any sort of like static electricity or any sort of buildup. I'm not one of those people that's like, ooh, crystals hold power or rocks hold power. But I do know that the earth has different energies that flow through different areas in terms of either electromagnetic or power lines nearby. That there's various things that can create electricity in the area. So
Yes. Certain
my
kinds of
first,
carpet too.
yes,
We did have an electrician come out and check all the wiring because we would have lights turn on and off and things like that.
right.
And he gave us, he passed us off, everything was okay. And not only that, I do have an EMF reader. I did at the time, and it was not able to read this this cloud.
So an EMF is electromagnetic, right? And I'm
Yes.
not 100% positive. Is electromagnetic and static electricity the same thing, or are they two different kinds of electricity?
I think it's different kinds, but I was
Yeah.
trying to find any way to measure this in a
Right.
scientific way. So that was just one of the things that I did try to use to try to measure this and record it.
So when it comes
And then
to
along with the step, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I didn't mean to step on you there. And when it comes to EMF, how are you? What kind of EMF reader do you know? How it was functioning and if it was working properly and everything? Are you familiar enough with it to operate it? I'm not. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wouldn't know the first thing about running one. So I'm just, if you do, that's fine. I was just curious because I don't know anybody
So I
who's really
wasn't,
familiar with how they
but
work.
my father was, and my father got the EMF reader to try to read some of it. So I can't give you the science behind it because I personally don't know, but my father does, and he was the one. This is the house that I grew up in, so he was the one that was kind of the driving force of like, okay, let's measure this. Let's try to figure out what this is.
Yeah, and my first question is, because I'm not at all familiar with the different kinds of electricity, different kinds of magnetism. I know there's a ton of them. I know there's places on the earth where you can go where you feel either heavier or lighter, or you feel certain charges of electricity. And
Totally.
I don't really know a whole lot about them. I'm definitely not an expert on all that stuff. So
And the weird part, oh, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep
Oh,
interrupting.
no,
I'm
you're
sorry.
fine. There's a delay, and sometimes, like, in normal conversation, that's what we do, we interject. So don't ever worry about it. You can press on next time. But I guess what I was saying is, my question is, how would you know, or what different ways would you know to measure or explore or experiment with this, if you're as unfamiliar with the different forms of electricity and stuff as I am, how would we determine different ways of testing it or measuring it?
I don't have a clue. I wouldn't even
Yeah.
know where to begin. All I know is that I lived in that house for about 6 years beforehand and never once had this experience. Didn't have any paranormal experience at all. It was a completely basic home. And then after those girls died, then this mist started, this cloud started to roam about the house, and it would just show up randomly. Sometimes it would be at night, sometimes it would be during the day, it would be in the winter, it would be in the summer when it's 115 degrees outside. And another thing is that it gets very cold in this cloud. And when it's 115 degrees out, even if you have your temperature, your thermometer or thermostat on like 70, it ain't going down past 70 if it's 115 degrees outside. Like, that's just impossible for the size of the house that I had and the air conditioning unit that I had.
So
But it would be noticeably different cold.
So it sounds to me like there's sort of a correlation that you're drawing, that you were in the house for a length of time prior to these girls' deaths, correct? And you had a lot of
Yes.
experience in the house. So how long were you in the house prior to their death?
About 6 years.
Wow. And then there was a direct change immediately following their death.
Correct.
How long after their death did it take before you started experiencing these things?
I would say within a couple of days.
Wow. And what was the vicinity?
Wreckage was still, it was a car wreck,
Uh-huh.
and the wreckage was still outside, and we were starting to experience things.
Did you guys deal, because so I'm not familiar with how they died. It might have been something that you talked about maybe on the previous call, but I don't recall you talking about it on this one. But it sounds like, okay, so they died in a car wreck. Was it right in front of your house?
So what happened, I lived right behind a freeway, and there was a 6-foot cinder block wall between the freeway and my backyard. And what happened was they were coming home from a desert party. They were drinking. They were teenage girls, 4 of them. And they had a blowout, flipped their car, landed straight into my backyard, broke the cinder block wall. One was thrown 50 feet and was scalped, and the other was in the car and beheaded, and 2 of the girls survived.
Did you guys witness any of what happened?
Yes, we applied triage until the medics came.
Okay. Have you dealt with the trauma of it? Like, were you guys given options for therapy or anything to deal with the trauma of this event?
So we weren't given that option, but I did seek it out in my teens when I began to drive, and I had like a phobia of driving on the freeway because of it.
Absolutely.
And I got help from that. Yeah.
Yeah. So BrainBug, jump in anytime you want to. I'm kind of like interrogating.
No, you're fine. I just kind of letting her tell her experience. So I want to know more about the physical aspects that you're experiencing there. So you say when you walk through it, you can kind of feel it, and I want to kind of explore that, because you said that you called back to clarify about the feeling that you experienced when you found, or when you noticed this mist. And I kind of want to clarify on the mist a bit too, but go ahead and jump in about the feelings, because that's what you said you had new information to provide on.
Okay. Well, I kind of wanted to go into the physical aspect of it. Can I finish that real quick and then go into the emotions?
Yeah. Go ahead and
or do you
take this at your own
want me to
pace.
go into the emotions?
No, you can go ahead and describe it how you want to describe it. But that is something that we're curious about hearing eventually.
With the physicalness, it also had a dense feeling, like when you breathe in heavy humidity. Like I said, I'm from the desert, so when I go back east, I can feel the humidity. And when you walk out that door and your lungs just breathe in that humidity, you get that instant like, oh, I can't breathe. That
takes your breath away. Yeah.
That was the feeling that it was included, but you didn't perspire, you didn't sweat like it was humid. So it had almost like a gelatinous
Can I ask one more question about about the house? What kind of heating system did it have? What kind of HVAC did it have?
So it has an aircon, a unit. It was a 1,500 square foot house, so it was brand new, had a brand new unit, and it also had like a heater, but we never turned on the heater because it doesn't get that cold out here.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm familiar with Vegas. I have family that lives down there, and it's we like to visit them in the winter when it's cold where we're at.
yeah, right.
And it's not a million degrees for them.
So is it like a haze,
Right.
like when you see haze rising up off the pavement, or off like a? That's why I was asking about the heater too, like off of a register. Like older houses sometimes will have the radiators like along the walls, and you can see
No,
rising
the
off of
heater
those.
was up in the attic, and all it had, we just had like the little pad to turn on the AC or to turn on the heat. Otherwise, you didn't see it at all. It was up in the attic. Both of them were. So I didn't have any old radiators, or like I know how some old houses in the East Coast, they have like on the floor there's like a little hole where the heat comes up out of.
The registers,
And
yeah.
we didn't have those either.
So there's two things that I'm kind of curious about. And part of it is sort of like the house, whether there's a HVAC or an electrical problem, or the land, whether there's like some sort of static or magnetic. But what I'm more interested in, I mean, because that is an avenue that we can explore, but I'm really interested in the mental aspect of this, like the trauma and the PTSD. Do you only see this fog at that house? Do you still see this fog? Like I
Yes.
have questions about that. So it's only at that house, and it's in the
So
backyard and
I'm
inside the house?
not in the front yard. We rarely spent time in the front yard, but it happened in the garage. It happened throughout the house, and we had tile like in the kitchen and in the hallways. And then we had carpeting in the bedrooms. And it was a brand new house when we bought it.
Mhm.
And it was just a cookie cutter, like, I mean, you've been in Vegas, you know what the houses look like. They all look
Yeah.
the same.
Mhm.
It's just a cookie cutter normal house.
And it sounds like everything was functioning
But
correctly. Like, it sounds like you didn't have any electrical issues, that you knew of or anything like
and
that.
we did get we did have an electrician come and check out everything because lights and electrical things were happening. And so my dad thought there might be a short or something like that, and he didn't want a fire, so he
Right,
had
yeah.
it checked, I think, 3 times. In
Yeah.
because I lived there from age 4 to age 26.
Oh, so you
So
were young when you moved in there. This was like your home that you grew up in. These experiences
right.
didn't start happening until after this accident. Were when this experiences would happen, were in this, and I'm not trying to like say, hey, maybe you're hallucinating. I don't, because I don't know your situation, but were you thinking about or drawing conclusions of a connection between this experience and the crash immediately? I mean, did you correlate those, or is it just?
No, and my parents tried to shield that away from me. Like, they're very religious and they don't believe in like spirits or ghosts.
Right.
So that was like never discussed. And so for me I only correlated the two once I got into high school, and once like, because I'm older, once I started getting, I got rid of dial-up internet, and I could actually like look things up on the internet, and there were actual websites and things like that. But before then, I really didn't have a clue as to what was going on, and they didn't want to scare us. So my parents kind of shielded us from that. But there were definitely weird things going on. And I want to say, too, that I am a part of a paranormal group. And believe it or not, I am the skeptic of the group. And I've never experienced this. I've done about a dozen homes and about 5 like establishments, and I've never experienced this ever anywhere except one other place. And
So
that was when I was about a year ago.
about a year ago. So I want to get the timeline kind of
Yeah.
straight. Do you mind if I go through the timeline with you? Like I'll tell you what I think I'm hearing,
Sure.
and then you can say yay or nay. So you moved in when you were about
Okay.
4, and the accident happened 6 years
Mhm.
later. That makes you about 10, right?
Correct.
So you were about 10 when the accident happened, and then you didn't correlate these events with the accident until you were in high school. So that's
I was
maybe 15, 16, 17.
15, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. And then you also started doing some further correlations as an adult as you started doing some research. Um,
Correct.
so my question is, so you say you're the skeptic in the group, so we're going to skeptic a little bit. So I'm not trying to be conclusive about anything or say it's not ghosts or anything like that, but just putting on our skeptic hats.
What was the frequency? I'm sorry, I'm sticking. What was the frequency
ahead.
of these sightings? Just to before, since we're going to be correlating this
Things
period,
together.
this time
Good
period.
point. Yeah.
A few times a week.
Okay.
Okay. And then they were correlated in your mind to the accident years later. So there's a couple
Yes.
of things that
I made the assumption that they were connected purely because we didn't experience this before this happened.
ish, right? Like so
And it's not
sometimes
an older house, so I know it's not like a draft in the room or anything like that.
yeah, and I'm
Because
pretty
I
much
would
willing
have
to
my door
disregard
shut
that.
and my vent shut in the winter, and I would still have that this cloud would still form in my room.
And you'd visibly see this cloud is what you were saying. You'd visibly see it.
Occasionally, it would be like a milky white, or most of the time it was invisible.
Okay. Yeah.
And it did have emotional like feelings with it. Like
So you're saying you
when
felt
you walk.
emotions when you walk into it.
I'm sorry?
You're saying when you say it had an emotional feeling to it, what I'm trying to get at
When
is
you
would
went
feel
into it,
emotions.
yes. And it
You'd
would be
like, so you'd like suddenly be,
walking.
sorry, go ahead.
It would be as if you were walking into a funeral like late and everybody's already mourning, and you feel that vibration of sadness, and you feel that emotion of sadness among other people. And you would feel anxiety ridden, like something was about to happen, like you didn't know what, but like almost like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God kind of thing.
Did you have these emotional changes,
And
or did everyone who experienced this cloud have these emotional changes?
so everyone who experienced this cloud, and I would have friends like in my 20s come over and spend the night, and I wouldn't tell them my house was haunted or that I believed my house was haunted, and they would experience this thing, and then they would be all quiet all night, and then I would be like, what's up? And they would be like, I'm never spending the night at your house again because this and this happened to me, and I don't know what it is. So I have a lot of those experiences as well. So it wasn't just family, it was also friends that I kind of tested my hypothesis on.
Okay, yeah. So it sounds to me like lots of shared experiences, which the difficult thing about that is hearing everybody's perspective. Like, did they have the same experiences, or later when you start talking, did they start to get kind of mushed together, or did they start to get
correlating pieces of things?
exactly? Yeah, like which tends to happen when people get together and talk. Like they tend to find the similarities and disregard the differences. It's kind of natural to do that. So I would say it's very difficult to say based on like, okay, so for example, the people coming over to your house, I get really creeped out feelings when I go into different people's houses, right? And I think it happens a lot where people get uncomfortable. My kids have different houses that they don't like having sleepovers at because they get scared or feel uncomfortable. So I'm wondering how common of a human experience that is, whether or not there are ghosts or anything supernatural present.
And there can be like certain types of houses, like say you saw something scared you when you were little in a certain type of house, like someone standing on a landing or something frightened you, and you'll just have an aversion to that type of structure that you don't even remember why.
Absolutely.
Yeah, is it like repressed memories? I mean, obviously you got to be careful when you go to repressed memories because sometimes you get into the fabricated memories territory. But
I was gonna say, yeah, it's very, very touchy territory.
Yeah, it's very
Right.
delicate science. They
And
kind of
I
rushed into it
understand.
later on, but yeah.
Yeah, but just some of the things that they experienced would be almost verbatim what we experience as a family. So that's the part that makes me feel like it's more than just they feel uncomfortable or
more than just
they're,
PTSD,
you
like
know,
shared PTSD.
I don't
Yeah.
know how to explain it, but there were just, they were too specific in what they experienced for me to just take it as, oh, maybe they're uncomfortable. And I mean, a 24-year-old grown woman, I mean, if she's uncomfortable, she can go home. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why she would stay the night and be creeped out. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it does seem curious. There's a couple of different things. Actually, BrainBug, I was gonna start wrapping it up, but if you had anything else you wanted to say.
Oh no, yeah, I was just going to reiterate that sometimes people when they're around a strange situation can just have negative emotions, but I don't want to infer that to your guests because they're not here to say whether they did or not, or tell me how they felt compared to how you felt independently. So that's something we can never know. I mean, it's not to say that anecdotal evidence is not evidence. It is a type of evidence, but it can be really bad and really good. So thank you so much for calling us up tonight, though. It's always good to hear from you and hear about your ghost stories.
Yeah, and this is the first time I've gotten to hear from you, so I like it. Yeah, there's a lot there that we can talk about. Unfortunately, we have to move on. We have so many callers on the line, and each one we tend to get wrapped up into conversation. But yeah, thank you so much. Bye.
Oh.
Okay, so it looks like what we have on the line. I'm really excited about this. So I don't know much about this whether it's a religion or just a belief system, but we have someone on the line who refers to himself as a Raelian. And I am really looking forward to learning more about what he has to say. So what do you think about that, BrainBug, going to
I'm
next?
so excited. I was I've been looking forward to this conversation. So let's get into it.
Awesome. Pierre, are you here with us?
Yeah.
Hello.
And,
hello, Pierre.
It's the first time I'm calling you. It's the first time I'm calling.
Okay, so I know very little about Raelians and what they believe. I do know some, but I'm far from the expert. So why don't you start us off with a little bit about what you believe and why?
Just for fun, I'd like to hear what you know before I talk. Just a resume of what you know.
Other than there was a spike in interest in the Raelians, what was was it the late 90s, early 2000s? There was a spike in interest in it, and they got some media exposure, but I don't know much about their belief systems. Was it the comet? Was that associated with Raelians? I want to say.
No, I think that's different.
Oh yeah, that was different. That was a different group altogether. So yeah, go ahead and just give it to us. Let us know what it is, because I'm not familiar with it. She said she's not real familiar with it. So go ahead.
Okay, so how it started? It was a race car driver and a journalist named Claude Vorillon in France. And one morning he was going to his office, but instead of going to his office, he felt an urge to go near where he lives. There's a volcano, extinct volcano named Puy de la Sola, and he felt an urge to go there without knowing why. So he go there, he walk a little bit in the volcano, and he says, I have a lot of work at office. What am I doing here? And when he turns to go back, he saw a very, very bright flashing light in the sky. This light was coming down towards him. And as it got closer, he saw that it was in the shape of a flat bell, a flattened bell, and it was made of very, very shiny metallic substance. So he was a little bit happy. He said, "Oh, that's a UFO. I will talk about it. Nobody will believe me, and that's it." But the machine descended and stopped at about 30 meters from him, and it was hovering above the ground, at 2
Pierre?
meters above the ground. Yes.
Pierre, real quick, we just in a matter of time.
Okay.
So can we just?
Okay.
It's a
So
real
the story is that he had a close encounter, and out of this machine, a being came out and said, "I have a very important message to give you for all humanity." And
Okay, so
this
so
is
Pierre.
the story of
So
how
I think
we were created by extraterrestrials.
okay, so there we are. I was gonna say it sounds like you're getting into sort of like the history of the religion, or how it started, or how Rael came to his beliefs or his teachings.
Yeah.
But and then you just hit it the very last sentence where you said we came from extraterrestrials. So I'm curious,
Yeah.
rather than unfolding the entire religion or kind of giving us this background of it, because we're on a show where we have a very limited amount of time, just give us the quick gist of what it is you believe, in terms of these extraterrestrials and our reality and other religions, and how it all kind of ties together.
Yeah. Why do you believe
Well,
that's true?
Can you repeat?
Yeah. Just why do you believe that this Rael story is true? Why do you believe that? What experiences have you had to confirm that to you?
The first thing is I read the book. When you read his book, he explains everything. And what attracted me is because it's an atheist religion. It may sound strange because we do not believe there's any God anywhere in the universe. Everything is material. There is no supernatural in our vision of the world. So when I say we were created, it was totally materialistic science. A group of scientists came to the earth, and with their knowledge of DNA and genetic engineering, they created us. And after, the people thought that these people were gods. So in the Bible, when you see aliens, angels, or angel of the Lord, or things like that, it was always extraterrestrials. And all the religions.
What evidence is there for this, though? Is there a piece of evidence that you find compelling?
Like I said, it's by reading the book, and also I've met the man himself, Rael.
We actually, we don't have time to read a book right now. Can you tell us why you what from the book? I understand it's probably a conglomeration of different pieces of the puzzle from the book, but are there experiences that you're having, or is there something empirical? It would be great if there's something empirically we could look at. Of course, I don't expect that.
There is something. Perhaps I can try to put it in the chat. In 1976, there were 50 Raelians who were united around Rael. And at the exact time of the meeting, there were two luminous spheres who appeared above the people, and something fall down. In ufology, it's called angel hair. So it's a cottony substance. And there are pictures of that someone has taken. So that's the only physical proof we have of that. But what I find most important.
What convinced you that picture was real, and that what was in the picture is true for what they were describing it as? Like, so what convinced you that because there's a picture in a book that it is what they say that it is?
Like I said, I know some of the people who were present at the time at this event, and I have confidence in them. It's
Okay.
me.
So it's
It's important. I think
testimonials
to
then.
stress, I'm not trying to convince anyone. I'm just speaking about what it is, and what attracted me, like I said, is also the happiness. Happiness is something very important. Sometimes people ask Rael, why are we alive? And he says, to be happy.
Be happy.
Maybe
Yeah.
that sounds a little bit too short.
No,
But
I
like that.
actually, so I read up a little bit, or not read up because I used YouTube. I studied up a little bit on Raelian beliefs and like kind of what it was about. And there's a lot in there that's really beautiful. Free love, happiness, that there's no gods telling us like who to worship and what to do and how to behave. And I love all that. I think that's really, really gorgeous. Like I think philosophies like that, a lot of people can really get behind. And I see why it's so attractive. But my question as a skeptic would be, so you have this great teaching and it really works, and it can create sort of a peaceful society of people who all agree that that's a good way to live. But then there's this other stuff tacked onto it. And what they've done from my perspective is they've taken all the previous religions and said, okay, well, they all hold bits and pieces of the truth. But there's a misunderstanding and that they were actually aliens coming and teaching us, and we mistook them for gods. And so my question to you is, how do you get from here's this great philosophy, like a really awesome way to live, and here are these teachings, and they're true. So where do you make that leap from I like the lifestyle to I believe the teachings?
Like I said, it's difficult to resume in a few seconds, but it's only by reading the book. I can give the title. It's a free ebook if people want to check for it. It's called Intelligent Design, Message from the Designers by Rael. And if you check on the Raelian website, you can have the book for free because, like you say, it's long. And for you, Laura, I have a little suggestion. You know that Mohammed was taken to heaven on El Borak.
Yes. Yeah.
And for us, it was a UFO. Mohammed was taken to the planet of the Elohim on a UFO, but at the time they could not understand. So they say El Borak took him to paradise.
Oh, so when you get into interpretations of these older texts and the way that they were interpreted, like I'm not sure about the history of the Quran with Muhammad specifically, but there are like tales of like UFOs and things in the Old Testament, or that they claim are UFOs, or claim that they're proof of alien vessels, or you like the wheels within wheels verse from the Bible. I don't remember what verse it is. Somebody knows it, they can pop it in the chat there so you can go check it out. But if you look back at the way that it had been interpreted, through the ages, it went from the original ancient Aramaic language, and then through into Greek, and then into Roman, and then back into Old English. So these things come a long way, and they get translated. And I can't imagine the history of the Quran is much different. Do you feel that maybe it's just a translation error? Maybe.
Well, perhaps some parts were copied, like they say. Sometimes people say that. But for me, when I read the book, it was a link between religion and science, because I was reading the Bible. I was Christian.
I want to interrupt you there for a second. You just said that there's a link between religion and science in the book. And from what I've studied from the Raelian, just from what I learned, it rejects, so your teachings reject things like evolution, that we didn't evolve, that we were created, but that we were created by extraterrestrials. So I don't see a link that takes science and religion and blends them together. What I see is it takes religions and it attempts to explain religions through an atheistic scientific perspective. But what it's missing is the actual science to back it up. So I'm just wondering if you've considered that. Like, have you considered, like, yes, it takes it and gives it an atheistic spin where they're not actually gods, but have you considered how it comports to reality?
One of the thing is the problem of datation.
I'm sorry, the
So
problem
I
of what?
think that the datation, like when you do carbon-14 testing,
Okay, carbon
I
dating.
think this testing is a little bit false. That's why I have an explanation for that,
Well,
because
carbon
we say,
dating is
like,
just
the
one
Bible.
dating mechanism, though. There's many different isotopes that we can use to date, depending on how old what we're looking at is. And the newer stuff is the more we're able to hone in, because the closer to modern times you get, there's more and more dating methods that just can keep corroborating your time frame.
The other thing with dating methods is that as they improve, so scientists don't say this fossil dates back to this date. They say there's this range that it dates back to, and these other fossils kind of correspond to this similar range. And as dating methods improve, they'll redate fossils and they'll correct themselves rather than saying, oh, it's always going to be this date. So the thing with carbon dating is scientists don't claim that it's an exact science or that it's an exact date. I think in the layman's world, that's how we discuss it, or that's how we talk about it. But that's not how scientists discuss it or talk about it. So I'm curious.
Okay.
Yeah. So carbon dating.
I can finish with two things.
Okay.
One is presently what we do. One of the action we do is we meditate for world peace. That is something very important, because there's always a risk of a nuclear war. That's always possible. So if we are not killing ourselves, Rael can be tested as a prophet, because he said that the extraterrestrial will land in an embassy that we will build for them, and they will come not later than 2035. So that's one of the way to test Rael.
Right, we could wait till
we'll
2035. Yeah. So I'm curious. So he is what he considers to be a prophet. So he's made prophecies, and we have to wait until the future to find those prophecies. But in the meantime, we just kind of have to wait. We can't confirm anything today. But what I would say is, on its surface level, the whole Raelian line of thinking, where it just kind of tries to tie religion in with science, it fails on a lot of points for me, just having taken kind of a cursory look. Like, it doesn't comport with our current timelines, not just with carbon dating, but with our entire sort of understanding of how the world works and how evolution works.
That's kind of where I was on it too. It's you only go along with the science up to the point where it disagrees with the doctrine. That really becomes quite an issue. If you're willing to follow the science up to the point where it disagrees with the mythology, it kind of puts it at I'm not really sold on that, but I will definitely read more about it and look into more about it. Pierre, as your final thought tonight, is I know that you had said that there was a video and stuff that you wanted to be viewed, and I wanted to make sure to let you know if you wanted to suggest anything that would convince, that you think is convincing of your belief being true. Now is your time to do so.
Like I said, I'm not trying to convince anybody. And Rael said, please stop believing and start to understand.
Okay.
All right.
So I would say, as a philosophy in terms of behavior, I like it. In terms of historical explanations, I think it's very problematic. But I would say, if people are living their life that way, the more pacifist, peaceful, free love sort of lifestyle, I say have at it. I'm not going to sit there and argue you out of a lifestyle that's not hurting people.
Yeah, just be having a philosophy that leads to just be happy, and maybe try to make sure other people are happy too. Not a bad philosophy, but I don't know what substance there is to it. I haven't seen any convincing substance yet.
Yeah, just a last word. There's a new documentary who just came out in 2020. It's called The Prophet and the Space Aliens.
Yes,
You
that's the
can
one I
find
watched
it
when I was
on
doing
YouTube,
research.
I think.
Yeah, I highly recommend
And
that
it
for a
was
little bit
made
better
by
perspective. Yeah.
yeah,
Cool. Well, Pierre, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go because we do still have a few callers on the line, but I'm really excited that you called
Yep.
in, and it is something that I think we can all learn more about and discuss more. So maybe next time, if you want to call back in, maybe have more than just you have to read the book, because none of us have time, in the
Okay.
middle of the show to read the book, but we are interested in learning more. So if you have
Yeah.
just a few points that you can maybe come with next time, we can just discuss them and unpack them a little bit.
Especially something we can experience
Yeah.
ourselves. That would be great. All right, Pierre, it's been good
We have
talking
a
to
lot.
you. Have a nice night.
We have a lot of actions.
What was that he said last? We have a lot of actions.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. We do need to move on.
Move
though.
on, yeah.
Thank you, Pierre. All right.
Yeah.
I believe we have a
So-
paranormal investigator waiting to talk to us tonight
We
too.
do. Yeah, he wants to talk about some of his experiences. So yeah, we're gonna have.
Do you have any thoughts on the Raelians before we move on?
Yeah, I think so. I did some research when I heard that he might be calling, and I watched that video, the 2-hour video. It was really good.
Yeah.
But so having that sort of skeptic hat on the whole time, I was a little bit concerned in how they were less focused on trying to prove how it scientifically comports with reality, and they were more concerned with how to make religions make sense.
Right. There was
And
some.
that was
Yeah, there was some stuff about the Bible in there. So I reached out to my friend Jason from Dragons and Genesis podcast. If you aren't subscribed, check them out too. They're
I
great.
love Dragons and Genesis. Yeah.
I reached out to Jason and I had him look over some of the Bible quotes and some of the claims made about the Bible, and I actually had some stuff prepared, and I was hoping that he would kind of get to that and how to try to say how it corroborates these documents, but he went with the Quran instead. So.
Well, and a lot about the history and Rael as a prophet, and we just don't have time to get into so much nitty-gritty details. So maybe next time we could have like a little bit more of an advanced discussion, like maybe take it a little bit further next time. But yeah. But in the meantime, it looks like we have Mike on the line. So Mike, can you hear us?
Yeah. How are you doing today?
Great. You're a paranormal investigator?
No, actually, no, I'm not. I'm actually not a paranormal investigator, but I love the heck out of that stuff. Always have since I was a little child. What's the whole thing on the whole cussing and stuff? Because I cuss a lot, so I'm trying to work on that.
It's not going to hurt my feelings.
Yeah, we're pretty late here.
Yeah, just say what you got to say, and if a cuss word slips out, then a cuss word slips out. But
we're far enough into the show, shouldn't affect the algorithm.
I appreciate that. That was a really weird mix to walk into whatever that guy was talking about. Not discredit him. It's mind blowing.
Oh yeah, we've gone. Yeah, so you go from a ghost experience or the fog experience to an alien experience or belief that aliens created us. So yeah, we were all over the place.
Yeah, that's the kind of show we got here.
Totally.
Yeah, but what about you? Yeah, so what do you bring to the table?
Oh my Lord. Okay. So I'm 33 now, but when I was 19, I went to Western Illinois University in Illinois. Are y'all from Illinois or the Midwest or anything like that?
Not even a little bit. I'm West Coast.
I am from Western Illinois, and I actually have some classes I took at your school.
What part?
So.
What part, bud? No, what was it? Oh, what was it? I'm sorry.
I said I actually did go to. I had some classes at Western Illinois University, but yeah, go on.
Well, hello there, friend.
Hello.
No, so were you there when there was like Wetzel, Bayless, Tanner?
I was never there physically. I did correspondence.
Let's get to what you called in for, though, because we're going down a rabbit hole of like the college years. Yeah, let's get to what it is because it says here that you want to talk about some experiences that you've had.
Okay.
So let's get into some of those.
I like it. So what happened was me and about 5 other women I met. We were all into the paranormal, and we just decided to take we made our own Ouija board, basically, and we went to my room. It was fall of maybe end of September, October of 06. And shit's legit.
Okay, so you're saying you had a Ouija board experience.
What was that?
You said you had a Ouija board experience?
Yeah, that's the photo I sent. I think his name's Ethan.
Oh, I didn't see any photo from Ethan. I don't know if he can post it while we're talking or not.
It's
but
it's pretty cool actually. But no,
okay, there's the photo there for everyone to
photo.
see. Very cool. Okay, so I can't really see very closely what it is. It's kind of small, but it looks like just a picture of a person in a board. Is it just you guys in the Ouija board?
Well, the Ouija board was not in the photo. We only had one light on in my dorm room.
Okay.
The air was off. Well, we didn't even need it on, but it was working really good. And I remember, like, before we started taking two photos we took, the one never transcribed onto the desktop when you put the SIM card in or SMS card or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
But the first photo is the photo I sent Ethan, and it was so fun. It's so fucking weird. Pardon my French, but like we were like moving, we were asking questions and stuff. So like for some odd reason, when my hand was on the board, it was moving faster and faster and faster. Why? Could not tell you one damn bit. So I was like, you know what? Let's test something out. So like when you're a freshman in college, nobody knows you. Nobody knows your background or your history. And it's 2006. You know, like it's not like I'm gonna like promote my loved ones on there, you know, like how it is today. So I took my hands off the board, and so it's the other women, you know, playing. And I was like, hey, ask it this question. I was like, what's my grandpa's first name? Nobody knew it. Never talked to my grandparents. It spelled out Harold. Harold was my grandfather's name. Boom.
And your hands were not anywhere on it?
No, ma'am. No, I'm not making this shit up.
That is intriguing.
I kind of wish I was, but I'm not lying.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully our callers don't have to insist that they're not lying. We're gonna assume you guys are telling the truth unless we have reason to believe that you're lying to us.
Oh no.
There is always.
No, I'm to the point where like I don't share this story with many, but when Ethan hit up some paranormal group I do follow, I'm like, why not, dude? Just tell it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty intriguing. Especially if you hadn't.
It sounds like bullshit, but it's really not. And I really, it spooked me right off the bat. But then I was like, okay, it's kind of cool. And then we started taking photos, and the weird thing about
tell me about the photo. So that photo, yeah,
oh,
thank you.
Well,
no, sorry, there's a little bit of a delay, so sometimes we can talk over each other a little.
Is there something in the photo that we were looking for specifically? I did see like maybe there was a little bit of a glare right there by the hand. Is that what we're looking at in the photo?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's exactly exactly why I sent you the photo. Because prior to that, we were like, just like, hey, you know, can you want to high five me? And supposedly we're talking to a little boy named Matt. I can't verify if that's true or not. I don't really know. Who knows?
But that's what was coming up on the board. Shit. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going off from what the board said. And every time I put my hand up, I felt a cool, like, the only way I can describe it is like, you know, like in the springtime when the wind picks up. That's the only way. But we didn't have the heat on. We didn't have the air on or the AC on. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, hey, take a photo. And that's what we caught on the photo.
So it's a little confusing.
Around my actual hand.
Okay, and so what
oh, shit. What was that?
No, I'm just trying to figure out what I see in the image versus what you're saying. So I saw sort of like a bright, almost like a reflection, but it was a white sort of, I don't know, square.
Yeah,
and it was bright, kind of, but it didn't look like a hand or a person or smoke or anything like that.
No,
it just kind of looked like a...
No. It's just, I don't even know what it is. There's no hand, there's nothing.
Yeah.
I need to explain some more. The only light that was, that we had on was a Coleman lantern on a little like TV tray type, you know, like, table we had, or I had.
Yeah.
Where's is that where the blue hue is coming from? Is that where the blue tint to the picture is coming from, or is that just the camera?
1 second. Let me look at it real. Did I say it to my phone? Hold on a second.
It's just it's just a mostly black silhouette with a maybe a blue light coming in is what it looked like to me. Is that what you saw, Laura? I mean,
yeah, it was a little bit confusing.
Yeah. That definitely, in my personal opinion, it was not coming from the Colvin lantern, and it's like a $12 thing I bought from Walmart.
yeah,
and they took that at the exact same time. We were like, hey, you want to give me a high five? And boom. So.
Did you take multiple other pictures around the same time, not when you were high-fiving? Like, was there any pictures before and after, or any other pictures throughout the night?
There was one or two other ones, and what pissed us off, because this is back in the day when, like, we didn't have, like, well, we had camera phones, but they were, like, the flip phones and stuff. We had,
right, because it was a while
we were
ago.
using the atypical LCD, I think it was LCD, with those cameras with the back on the back of the phone, not the phone, on the back of the camera. There was the screen and stuff, and you can, like, I don't know, I never had one, but that's what we were using. And we took one photo, but it never came out on the computer like we saw it on the LCD screen. And we asked whoever we were speaking to, little kid, like, hey, who are you sitting between? And it spelled out between you and so-and-so, which was the girl I was sitting next to. And on the LCD screen in the back part, you could literally see a boy sitting Indian style between me and this other woman.
You could see it on the screen, but you didn't get a picture of it? Okay, so you saw it on the screen, but not in real life and not in any of the pictures that you took.
No, we saw it on the actual LCD screen on the back of the actual camera, and then we uploaded it because we were pumped. Because we're like, oh, man, we caught a ghost on camera or some shit like that. And then we uploaded it, and there was nothing. So we were really pissed off.
Oh, yeah, that'd be disappointing if you captured a ghost on the camera.
There's no ghost. Yeah, so there's a lot of questions I have about this, about both the Ouija board, the girls. Like, were you guys drinking? What was the situation? Were you guys amping each other up? Were you talking to each other?
Sober.
Totally sober. How late at night was it?
Honestly, it was. I'm sorry. What was that?
How late at night was it?
It could have been between 8 to 10 p.m. Sober.
It's way too early for a Ouija board. You gotta wait till 3 a.m.
Yeah, I was about to say. No.
Oh, you mean the witching hour?
Yeah, there you go. How long ago was this?
Right.
How long ago did this happen?
He said 2006.
2006. That's right. Okay, so it's been a few years. Yeah,
it was cool. You still have the picture though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little bit curious about how you still have the picture. That's pretty cool. The fact that you still have the picture after all these years.
Right.
How many? I posted on Facebook like maybe like the same. I don't even know. There might be a time and stamped it on there, but it was within the week of it being taken. Yeah. I was like so pumped about it, and I was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm gonna post it." But
I wish you had that other picture though. That would have been great to see with the kid sitting in between
with
you.
An actual, yeah.
Oh.
That would have been something to really dig into.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree.
We have got I remember, you could even. I was gonna say we've got a lot of intriguing stuff to work with, and not a lot of stuff that we can actually do in terms of investigating it. Other than it's for right now, it's all entirely anecdotal, but it's intriguing, especially with the 5 girls. Your hands weren't on the Ouija board. They spelled out your grandfather's name. I have a lot of questions about like how well did each of them know you? Had you ever talked about them? Maybe even in passing or didn't realize it? Was there a picture?
I'll tell you that right now.
Tons of questions. Okay, go ahead.
There's one of them was from like Bushnell, Illinois. A majority of them are from like the suburbs. I live in Grundy County in Morris. I don't give a shit. I'm telling you that. I live out in buttfuck Egypt. Like I'd never met them in my entire life until I went to college. And
okay, so how long had you known them before doing this Ouija board thing?
Well, if it would have been like September, October-ish, it would have been. I moved in late August.
Okay, so you'd only known them a short period of time.
I didn't meet them until I went to. I'm sorry, what was that?
You'd only known them for a very short period of time.
Oh, very short period of time. Yeah, like not where you get to know them on a frame of like where you talk about your relatives, like stuff like that.
Sure. That's really intriguing. So I do need to cut in here really quick. We did get a note from the call screeners. So you're not Mike the paranormal investigator, but that's what your notes said on your call screening. So what is your name? Or what name would you like us to call you?
You can call me Hendo.
Hendo. Okay,
Hendo.
cool.
Well,
Thank you for calling you Mike then.
Hendo,
Yeah, things got a little bit.
H-E-N-D-O.
We've had some problems with call in studio today.
We came into this expecting this a completely different conversation. So I'm glad you were able to, we had a picture on ready to go and some stuff to talk about. So thank you for that. We probably do need to get moving on though. We do have a few more calls to get through. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Oh, I got way more stories from my personal stuff that I've interacted with. Well, my parents. I have so many stories I could tell you about what my parents interacted with on a 4 acres of property.
Yeah, so let's do this.
I got tons of stuff.
We have the actual Mike on hold, and then we have another person on hold who she's been waiting for quite a while. So let's let you go now. Right. But I love the stories that you've told. I think there's a lot of lines of question that I want to take to just sort of unpack them a little bit. But if you're interested, I would highly encourage you to call back next week. And we'll actually use your real name. Well, whatever name you give us. It doesn't have to be your real name. But yeah, we'll introduce you as Hendo instead of as some other guy.
We always welcome returning callers. If you got a new, even a new story, a new experience, new angle on an old story, give us a call back and we can look at it again. But Endo, thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
No problem, brother. What day you guys got? What day do you guys usually podcast?
Same time slot every Tuesday. Mm-hmm.
Cool, dude. I'll hit you up on Messenger too, by the way.
Oh yeah. Cool. Definitely get a hold of Ethan. He can relay anything to us. All right.
All right, dude. You guys have a great night. Thank you so much for your time.
You too. Thank you.
All right. So actual Mike is waiting for us now
on the line. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So in the meantime, while they're getting Mike up, that's really cool. I love stories like that. I mean, they're really hard to verify. It's really hard to know like how much of it was just in your head, how much of it was hype, how much are you adding later when your memories start to form and you're adding details. So there's a lot that goes into that. But
did you ever have friends who would like go through their old photo album and be like, oh, and this is the picture Grandpa took with the ghost in it, and everybody had a picture somewhere in their photo album that they claimed had a ghost in it, and it always was something like that usually.
But I don't know, seeing an actual boy in the photo like that would be compelling to me. That would be one of those things where I'm like, okay, before I believe you, I want to have somebody analyze this photo because I'm not a professional.
Right.
But in the meantime, we have actual Mike on the line. He is actually a paranormal investigator. So, Mike, thank you so much. And sorry for the confusion.
I didn't know there was only one Mike that was active. That's awesome.
No, we introduced our previous caller as Mike because we had him listed as you. But it sounds like your sound is really bad. Are you on a speakerphone?
Hang on, let me see. Hang on a second.
Oh, thank you.
Is this better?
So much better. Okay, Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Great.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're a paranormal investigator. Let's hear more about that.
I'm not a paranormal investigator. Is that another actual Mike that they're missing up on?
Oh no, I don't know. So what is it? Okay, so do you want to go by Mike though, or is there a different name you want to go by?
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Perfect.
I mean, that's my name.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of problems with call-in studio, so it's very possible that it's crossing, like when we're entering notes in, that it's putting it in other calls. So who knows? At this point, we'll just ask you your name and what you want to talk about.
What's going on?
So Ethan was got on this little paranormal chat group that I'm part of, and just kind of inquired to see if anyone had any experiences and stuff. So I reached out and he told me to call into the show. So here I am.
So have you had any paranormal experiences yourself, or are you just in the group?
I've actually had quite a bit. Actually, my family's kind of been. We find ourselves in some of the tricky, like the little finickiest places. I mean, even it's small. Ever since I was a kid, I've seen like shadow people, and we've heard things. And we had a house that was that we lived out in the country. It was very far out from where it's just kind of like in the middle of nowhere, but it's about 10 minutes from an actual city. But it's just kind of because we're where I live, it's more rural than anything. So it's very farm based and stuff. So we had a house out there in a little community called Sandhill, which is our neighbor was about, I would say about 500 yards away, maybe.
Yeah, you're
more than that,
isolated.
maybe
Each house
yeah.
is isolated. Yeah.
Was it
So what
forested
were-
area
Yeah.
or
say again?
was it a forested area?
No, it wasn't actually. We're in West Texas, so it's
Oh,
very
yeah,
flat
very-
land. It's all farmland. So basically it's
Gotcha.
what it is. So it was the house that we were living in, and then there was an actual where my grandfather worked, was for the land was owned by a farmer, and he kind of tilled it up, and that's where he kept all his equipment and stuff. And just for some reason that area was very, very just I would, yeah, it was very just dead, if you want to call it that. Like even to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
so
can
let's
drive
get
by a
shadow
house.
people. What is a shadow? What are shadow people?
Well, that's exactly what it is. We'd see them like on occasion. We'd see, shadow of someone. We'd be watching TV, and you could see someone like peeking in through the back outside of the window.
I
like, from
experience that all
outside.
the time. Yeah. That's not even
Yeah, you
so
could see that, and then it was multiple times actually. Well, my family members, multiple people in my family saw it. My aunt used to see that. So the house itself was just alone, and then next to it was like a little carport, like beat up old carport where my grandfather used to keep his tools and stuff, and it was open, so it wasn't like it was like a little shed thing with no doors. It was just open and just a little cover, and she would pull in, and on different occasions she would see a shadow person running from the, and there was literally nothing in the background. Like we didn't have a backyard. It was all field. Like, I mean, you could tell, take a big empty lot, a field of acres and acres of land, put a house in the middle of it with a shed on the side, and then right there on the side of the road with nothing around us but our neighbors, 500-600 yards down the to the left, and that was it. Literally, that's the only people we had on that. It was a farm road. So, picture just an old rural farm road, and that's exactly what it was. And we would see them on multiple occasions. We had
when you say how many people is
basement.
this? How many people witnessed them?
Say that again?
When you say how many different people witnessed these shadow people?
Well, it was myself. I was a kid at the time. My grandmother, my aunt, who is, she's in her 50s now, and then of course my aunt, who's a little older, probably in her 60s. And
It was like a multi-generational household. There was
This is what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yes, it was a lot. And I started to think about this after a while when I got older. I'm 45 now.
Mhm.
But it seemed to like the certain areas that it was either like it followed us maybe, or maybe it was something that was maybe one of our family members was maybe a sensitive or something. I don't know. I'm not, I'm not somebody to, I can't put that title on anybody, but it just seemed like every house that we went to, we experienced things throughout that time. Even to this day, my aunt still in that house, she experiences the house that she lives in now, she experiences things. And it even has gone down now to her grandson, which is my little cousin, who has experienced things in that house, shadow people and things like that. So it's very unique. It's a unique situation that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, so I have some questions about that because I experience things like shadows moving or something that I think is a person standing there, or I'll swear I see movement out of the corner of my eyes. I'm fairly certain from the research I've done that it's a pretty normal human experience. That our brains are pretty flawed and that we can have these experiences where we perceive something to be there when there isn't.
especially in your peripherals.
Yeah, and also to anthropomorphize it, which is to take something that may actually be there or maybe a figment of your imagination, and to give it sort of like this human or intelligent sort of characteristic.
Pareidolia.
So, is that what it's called?
Yeah, or it's like
cool.
where you see. So like if you can't, your brain will fill in the blanks at the edge of your peripherals, and you will you will make a human shape out of that. Your brain will before it even gets to where you conceptualize it. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So, and I think it's pretty common. What I have noticed is that when you get groups of people who tend to be more tend to be more okay with believing in the supernatural, and they all tend to talk about it, that they kind of hype each other up. And so then this experience that, say, a skeptic or a non-believer would describe as just a function of their brain or misunderstanding. Instead, you get a group of people who are like, no, we've all experienced it. We've all had the same experience. And they start to sort of justify or verify.
Like feed into each other a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not to make any accusations.
I'll give you an example here. I'll give you an example of something that's not shadow person related. Okay. So that specific house that we're talking about, right? So there's a basement in there, right? And my uncle, at time, two of my uncles at different periods of times used to stay down there. Now that was a creepy place for me because of course it's a basement, but they were very much into like the Fangora kind of magazines and stuff like that, and all this, the black metal, death metal, whatever you want to call it. So they were into that kind of stuff. So I remember I'd go downstairs sometimes, and I went down there once looking for my uncle, and of course the first thing I stumbled upon was a little coffee table with a bunch of magazines, and of course one was wide open, and it was like the scary face, Nosferatu, if you want to call it, whatever.
Sure.
So that scars me as a kid. I'm looking up there, but so here's something that it's kind of like it's a little different branch of what shadow people. We did see that stuff a lot, so me and my grandmother were in the and I still remember this, like, and I was a kid and I still remember it like it was yesterday. So we're in the kitchen, and she's making some tortillas, and I'm sitting there, and I'm watching, I'm coloring or something, doing something on the kitchen table, and then we hear something in the basement, like a glass jar break, like plain as day, like it was just out, like in the other room, it just just smashed, boom, and then you could just hear like a bunch of like dried something, like beans or something, just pouring out, right, just pouring onto the floor. And she was like, oh my goodness, the cats got in or something. She made some reference to the cats had gotten in, because we had a bunch of cats there. And she was like, oh, the cats got in, they knocked over something, because she used to can food. And but it was like she'd put stuff in rice and stuff like that just to preserve it or whatnot.
Oh yeah,
and
totally following.
It just sounded like almost like a jar of jelly beans or gumballs or whatever you want to call it. But it was like if something smashed and it was on top of something, and it was just all pouring down to the floor, right?
Yeah, I think we're tracking.
So we immediately went down there. Yeah, so she goes and gets the broom, and she gets the dustpan, and we're down there. She's like, okay, well, hey, don't, make sure you get your shoes on, because you don't want to cut your feet on any glass. Definitely. So we walk downstairs, and there is nothing. Like, all the jars are perfectly aligned. There's nothing there. I mean, the basement wasn't very huge. It wasn't big. It was very small. It was one room, which is my uncle stayed in. And we looked all over the place, and it was very, very, very unique. It's just weird because it was literally, you could hear it. It was just,
so you heard something fall and shatter in the basement, but there was nothing down there.
Yeah.
And did both of you hear it, or did just
completely neat and stuff? And say again?
Did both of you hear this sound at the same time, or did one of you hear it and then tell the other one about it?
Yes, because I looked up at her, and she looked up at me, and she's like, oh, she made that reference of the cats.
Of the cats,
and then so she goes and grabs the broom and the dustpan, and made sure and told me, hey, make sure you have your shoes on so you won't cut yourself on the glass. And we went down there.
There was nothing. There was a possibility that it came from a different area or from outside, maybe.
No, because that's where she would keep all the stuff down in the basement. That's where she would store her.
So because it was the sound of a glass jar
hitting
the pavement, that's what we're going.
It was clear as day, and it was just like you would hear it. I mean, it was loud, and it was like a full jar breaking, like as if it was knocked over in the grocery store or something.
So what is
it's with the distinct sound of something dry pouring out of it and spilling onto the floor.
What is your explanation for what that was? Like, what do you think that was?
To be honest, I really don't have one. I was a kid at the time, but like I said, I can still remember it. But, I really don't know. It's just.
Was your family religious by chance?
I'm sorry.
Was your family religious by chance?
Yeah, I mean, they're I wouldn't say like, it's over the top religious, but yeah, they went to church. We were
Catholic?
Catholic. I was raised
Yeah.
as a Catholic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I
And
was just wondering about that because the Catholics, the religion it's very spiritual, and they do it are more
right.
openly spiritual than a lot of other
And
Christian
the thing
religions.
Oh,
about
I
it was
see.
with my grandmother, she made it very clear. She used to tell me this all the time. She used to say, like, I would ask her about stuff because things would happen, right? And she would just, basically stress to me. She would say, "I'm not afraid of ghosts. I'm afraid of real people." And that's what she would always tell me. And to her, I think it was more she was just either acknowledging the fact that it was there or that something was going on that she didn't really take
So I
put too much emphasis on. It was just something that she accepted as being the norm.
think that goes back
Um,
to what I was saying earlier, though, when I said, like, when groups of people tend to all believe something, then when something happens, they're all more likely to justify or confirm what the others are believing and kind of hype each other
yeah,
up. So it sounds to me like
yeah,
if someone has a propensity to believe in spirits, then they're going to translate more things as being spirits or more things as being spiritual. And then if someone doesn't have a propensity to believe in spirits, or they just flat out don't, then they'll interpret something as either more unexplained or weird, or they'll go out and seek the answers like scientifically. And if they don't find the answers, they'll just leave
right.
it
Just
at, I don't
basically
know.
debunk everything or try to debunk it
Or try to,
or
yeah.
try to
And if they
Yeah.
find an
can't, then they
alternate
just leave it as, well, I don't know.
explanation.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it sounds to
And
me like
I
that.
have that. I mean, I don't consider myself a skeptic per se, but I don't. I watch the shows. I like watching Ghost Adventures and all this Ghost Nation, and
Oh,
I
me
like,
too.
and, I enjoy being part of the groups and stuff. But at the same time, I don't find myself being a fanatic of paranormal or something like that. I do enjoy. I have gone to, like, me and my buddy of mine have gone to this old place when I'm in the military, so we're this is actually the original reason I called, because this is the story that I came across that happened to me, as well as two other soldiers. But so I mean, I've been to certain areas and we've taken pictures, and I've enlarged the pictures, and we've been to the USS North Carolina, and I've had the little apps, for the little spirit box apps and things like that. And it's something that I've always thought of as being fun to do and stuff. But I guess
Yeah.
the main thing that hit me the most, it's a fun thing. I consider it, some sort of, I don't want to call it a hobby or nothing like that, but it's just something fun, and people, it makes you excited, and and people get a thrill, get the thrill. Oh, look, we talked to ghosts and stuff like that. So, but at the end of the day, what is it? Is it something that automatically generate
Yeah.
something
I tell
that's
you what,
really not
if
there, or is it something?
if you ever get a chance, go down to New Orleans and take some of their ghost tours. Even if as a skeptic, it's to learn the history and stuff of some of these old
Right.
properties. It's really fun.
Well, see, that is one
Yeah.
thing that I find incredibly fascinating is there's a lot of stuff that happens that isn't explainable, or there's a lot of houses that weird things happen in. And there tends to be sort of these trends of either how they happen or what, and that's really, really fascinating. So
Like
yeah.
overarching
Yeah, but just getting
folklore
back to
to it
that
almost.
house, though, getting back to the old house, it's weird, very weird, because as you're driving by, there's very something ominous about it, because, like, the other there was people there that lived there after us, and they were the last people to live there, and the lady that lived there actually passed away in that house. However, the neighbor that, like I said, we had that neighbor that lived, 500-600 yards down to the right of the house, and that was literally our only neighbor. But everything around that area is very green. The trees, it's not a lot of land, but in the house, our house had trees, their house had trees. But if you go by there, the house itself is very well kept. Like that house is very well kept. However, everything around it is dead. Like, I mean, it's. I'm not saying maybe it's something with the land or the soil or whatever, but the trees are like completely just. There's no leaves growing on them at any time. It's completely dead. The farmland around it is dead. However, 300 or 400 yards to the right, the farmer the neighbor there is just, the grass is like green, the trees green, and then everything around it is green. But that house there's something just weird about it, that everything in there just doesn't seem to want to just be there. It's
So that gives it
I mean, and
really
like I
an
said, there's
ominous
probably
feel,
an
doesn't it?
explanation for it, but it's just really, really strange. It's unique, and it's kind of interesting about that place.
Yeah,
still get creeps 'cause
that
I have to drive there all the time.
when you talk about like things like the surroundings and how it looks, like sure there's most definitely an explanation for why everything is dead, but I think that gives it sort of this ominous, sort of creepy feel, and it kind of almost like primes the brain to think that okay, so whatever happens next, whatever I experience, it almost prepares you to interpret that as supernatural. So it's interesting, like the shadow thing,
Yeah,
not too
absolutely.
compelling to me because that happens all the time.
It's a well-documented phenomenon, but
and the jar dropping, I have tons of questions like, well, are you sure you heard it from the basement? Are you sure you're not remembering it wrong? Things like that, like what BrainBug said, where it could have been like maybe somebody like a next door neighbor or somebody dropped something on a driveway or something. I don't know. There's avenues that
we actually
go down
dealt with that a little bit when we talked about, we had a caller that they called about coin drops, which is a supernatural phenomenon where a coin just suddenly hits the wall or hits the floor by you, and start talking about, you know, evaluating your environment a little bit better. But you were a child, from what I understand, when this happened, so you know maybe you weren't. And that's not. I'm not. You know,
I was about 10 years old. I guess you'd say I'm about 8, 9, something like that, maybe 10. But you could say something about, you know, I would argue as far as the neighbors, because we didn't really have any. It was literally just a house alone on a farmland and not much around it. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's things I've experienced that myself. I'm not saying that it's anything like that, but it's just something that I've kind of just grown accustomed to. My nephew does it all the time. He says that, oh, I see shadows here and there, and this is in my house where my grandmother passed away, and he says that there was a time that he was like, oh, hey, that's the house, and my mom was living in a house, and he would say that as a kid that my grandmother would be there watching him, babysitting him while he was playing,
wow,
while he was playing as a kid. And then my mom would be like, well, that's impossible. She was already passed away. She been passed away for almost 3 years. Ooh, and, so it's very weird. It's strange, and it's just like he really was very young. They probably didn't remember it, I don't know, but he would just say, yeah, grandma used to sit there on
for Mike and all our other callers out there. I just want to let you all know that these are my favorite types of ghost stories, where the person doesn't realize they were interacting with a ghost until after the fact, and someone tells them the person was dead. Those are my favorite kind of narrative. So if that happens to you, or that has ever happened to you, please call it. I want to hear about it.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother. I was gonna say we were just getting ready to wrap it because it's about the end of the show. So we can continue to talk for a little bit, but I don't want to get too far down a whole new story. Brian, what do you think? Right. Like, do you want to take on this last story, or do you want to say maybe call in next time? What are you thinking in terms of?
Well, we do have some things we need to get to, and we did we do have some people that we're going to be. If Ethan hadn't announced it yet, we're going to be, I think Laura's coming too. We're going to be in Discord for a few minutes after the show to engage with everybody. So that is on the table. We also, we do want to thank the patrons that support what we do here.
Yes, thank you, Brian.
And Laura, you go ahead and you can read that list off of all those wonderful people who give their donations to us.
Yes. So thank you to the patrons. We have a pretty long list. I'm really excited about this. We have Cindy PLAZA, Kenneth Leonard, Kathy Leto, JumpandShoot, Oz, Secular Rarity, Chianti and Fava beans, which is my favorite. It's an awesome pop culture reference. Philip Leitch, Kaitlyn Beyond, Toast, Richard Gilliver, Sunset Sarge, and Skye. And if I butchered any of your guys' names, I deeply apologize.
Sounds
Just call
like
me out in chat and give me a hard time. I can take it. But yeah, thank you guys all for being patrons. Thank you for your support. I know Ethan appreciates it. And Mike, thank you for calling. That was a really good call. And there's a lot to talk out there.
I've enjoyed hearing your stories tonight, Mike. And please feel free to call us back with that next story. We are probably going to go ahead and get wrapped up here.
Hey, yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate the opportunity. So, you'll want to hear this one. This was really cool.
Yeah, I want to hear about. I think it was your nephew you said, and I want to hear about the military stuff, like the experiences you had in the military. So
Right.
yeah, lead with those.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
that's the one I initially was supposed to try to call again, and then I started kind of trying to give myself a backstory, and then it was just.
And then we got you.
There,
we took your backstory and we just stuck with it, and we kind of
we're like, let's look at these shadow people and this jar. And yeah, well, we tend to do that.
Fun,
so
you
gotta be
guys, I appreciate it. You guys have a great night, and
you too. Thank you.
I'll let maybe Ethan can hit me up some other time, and we'll get it popping.
Or you hit us up, anytime.
Yeah, same time slot every Tuesday night. We're always up to talk about these kind of experiences. Always up to learn about them. So give us a call.
Totally.
All right, sounds good. Have a great night, guys. Thanks a lot.
You too. Thanks.
All right.
All right. So I think that's
Good
it. I think
show.
Ethan's jumping in. Yeah.
All right. Now I got to figure out a way to just let both of you close the show so then I don't have to come back on.
All you got to do is put it in chat, like, end it, lady, end it, gentlemen, and we'll do it.
I feel out of place just popping on at the beginning and end. It'd be much smoother if,
But we
By the
like
way-
seeing your face. It's our opportunity to
Aw.
say
And your shirts.
hi. And your
And
shirts.
Bandaid.
Yeah. You're there in the background, but it's nice to get to see you.
Thanks. Good show. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We had some major call quality issues. So
There
that
was
sucked.
technical difficulties all night,
Yes.
and we
then had a
survived
caller
it.
Drop. Well, actually, we had all callers drop.
Lots of
Then we
callers.
had another one drop and call back a few times. Hopefully, we'll get her to call back next week.
Yeah,
But
I was
we
looking
still
forward to
wanna hear
talking to her
from
too. Yeah.
Wow.
So if you're listening, Melissa, we really wanted to talk to you.
We're so sorry we couldn't get to you
Yeah.
tonight.
And if everyone could, we're a jump on the Discord. We will be there for the Perspective After Show. But Brian, what do you have going on?
Well, I was saying earlier, I have a video dropping tomorrow that I worked on with Kenneth Leonard. That should be a fun time. This Saturday, I believe I am going over my bee mimic series. So we will be going more into a deep dive on that live stream. So if you like bees, you can come check that out too.
Sweet.
Laura?
All right. I have Skeptic Hangout comes out every Wednesday. I push it as early in the morning as I can. So just look for the latest releases on Wednesdays for our podcast, either on podcast form or on YouTube. And then also I'll be back here on the 8th, I think, June 8th, something like that. We're
Maybe?
scheduled. I'll be back on. Just look for me on the Perspective.
We're
And then-
trying to make her a permanent host.
And then I also frequently pop in on the nonprofits. So I'm not currently scheduled, but I'll be on there soon.
Oh, that reminds me, I'm on Truth Wanted on the 4th. I almost forgot. Thank you, Laura.
So cool.
Puck.
Truth Wanted with Puck. Oh, I'll
Yes.
be there. I'll be there in chat harassing you guys. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Bandaid doesn't, I guess I over pet him. He overstimulated him.
Yeah.
So now he's like seeing my hand and going for it. You stay there. I'll stay over here.
There's no in
Guys need
between. He either
little
wants to be scruffled or to attack you.
Right. Anyways, thank you both for doing this. Thank you to the
Anytime.
patrons. I'll be back Thursday night with Hannah Vaughn on the pickup line. And also, Thursday night on my Twitch. Every week we do Ask an Atheist. This Thursday, Cynthia McDonald will be on. And then Sundays, Jenna Belk and I didn't have a show this past Sunday, some mental health reasons. But we'll be back this Sunday with mental health and sleep. Again, Laura and Brian, thank you. And thank you to all the callers and everyone who tuned in. Oh, and to our call screeners and chat moderators. Have a good night, everyone.